of this racist, bigoted rhetoric that comes from people like you against my husband, against my family, and my children. I am raising Jewish children in this country.
Who brought your
in which
children
you
into this? What a weirdo.
Piers, I'm going to be done with this. If you're going to allow racist and bigoted attacks against one of your commentators, where are you standing?
God, you're so
Katie,
pathetic.
if I can speak,
Everything's your
if I can speak,
anti-Semite. Fire him, cancel him, cancel him, America.
Shane,
oh my God, Israel's
Shane,
feelings have been
Shane.
hurt. Why don't you work for this
All right,
country?
can we try and get
this country?
Anything about the Jews. We should just be clear about the fact that he's never said anything about the Jews. That's a way that it's just a phrase that gets imposed on him because people can't find anything to condemn. Yeah, but that's not saying anything about the Jews. Whatever.
We're going to say, you know what? He's a dirty Muslim, and you should hate him for supporting Muslims. And that's what almost all of the Israeli supporters are doing. Almost all of mainstream media, and that sick, disgusting Andrew Cuomo, who's as bigoted as it gets.
Decoding language to stop American
Jewish state or
and
a
to
Muslim
say that
state.
we should not be here and we should not be in existence, and that you would be happy for other people like Mandani
No,
to use
I want Israel to be safe.
Nothing of the sort.
Nonsense. You're totally lying. It's very normal for a Miller to be completely and utterly lying. Demand that you be racist and bigoted against Muslims. And it's so
if you want to be
hilarious.
specific with your words,
Because Mamdani, hold on, let me finish. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Be specific
Let me
with your
finish.
words.
So let me finish.
Guest says that the Millers always lie, because that's what your guest on your show just said, is that the Millers always lie. And so now I'll continue into saying, Mamdani.
Hello, everybody. Guys, we got Fascist Powder, Stephen Miller's wife, there in the middle in the panel, along with the Lost and Confused, Jillian Michaels. I would say Dazed and Confused, but I like that movie. Let's get into this segment and we'll talk about it.
What is your view about Mamdani?
Well, the one thing that I would hope people stop doing is pointing out that he's Muslim, because honestly, who cares? What does that have to do with anything regarding his policies and how he will run New York City? So that should be called out from the get. It's wrong. Nobody should do it. Simultaneously, yes, a lot of the things you said are alarming to me. I do wish, dude, just come out and condemn Hamas. It's not that hard. It's very common sense, in my opinion. What's alarming to me about Mamdani are his policies. And if we're going to talk about that, I feel like I can pontificate on it. But with regard to him being Muslim, I go back to, again, who cares? And people should stop calling that out. It's wrong.
But I guess it's relevant if he is saying that Islamophobia is endemic in the United States. I mean, do you believe that it is endemic in the United States? A hatred of people for their Muslim faith?
I don't think it's endemic in the United States, but it does exist. Racism exists. Sexism exists. I don't think it's endemic. And I think that kind of fear-mongering, rage-baiting is literally tearing us apart, which is why I want to see it stop when it comes to his religion as well. So, listen, he said a lot of things that I don't like. This is America. He's allowed to say those things. I go back to what I wish people would attack him on specifically are his policies, because that's where I believe he has exceptional vulnerability. Like, if you don't like the things that he's saying about Gaza or Hamas or the Jews, don't double down by saying those things about him being Muslim. That's my opinion.
He's never said anything about the Jews. We should just be clear about the fact that he's never said anything about the Jews. That's a way that it's just a phrase that gets imposed on him because people can't find anything to condemn. Yeah, but that's not saying anything about the Jews. Whatever his views are on Hamas, that's a completely different conversation. We should just use words carefully and to be like, if we're going to have a constructive discourse, it's important not to put words in other people's mouths. So anytime you hear Mamdani and you hear the phrase, the Jews followed by it, that's typically a smear because Mamdani has never expressed any views that are anti-Semitic. If his political views about Israel and Palestine are problematic, let's debate the merits of those without suggesting that he's saying something about the Jews when he never did.
Oh, okay. What
I think
about
that's fair enough,
Omar. He has a rap song.
Okay.
You heard it? Well, he had a rap song. Hey, Lost and Confused. That's the thing, is that you proved that it's an endemic. Look at what we're talking about. Guys, a couple things. The unemployment rate for black people right now is double what it is for white people. 3.7 versus 7.5, I believe. That's just a coincidence, right? Just random, just numbers, probability, right? Mamdani, the only attacks since he came into the scene, Nah, 9/11, jihad this and jihad that. He's a terrorist. Well, what's the other one? We'll have another 9/11. Like, come on. Or look how he eats. I mean, like this, and this happens literally every single time. Any person of color that comes into the political scene, it's right away the racist attacks from Republicans and conservatives. When the hell do you see the left doing this? It's just nonsense, this two sides garbage. This is why the racism in this country will continue to fester and build and build. Because it's always, oh yeah, everyone does it. F all of it, right? Like, get out of here. Mamdani has never talked about the Jews. He's never said the Jews. This dodo bird over here, she got in trouble for this earlier, so she's trying to speak more decently about racism and bigotry, but she got in trouble about this earlier. Dodo bird there tried to downplay slavery in America. It wasn't a big deal. Other countries did it too. It wasn't just us white people in America. I mean, this is the problem. It's a pattern. At minimum, you don't want to use the word endemic, whatever. At minimum, a pattern of bigotry with Republicans. That simple.
I was going to say he has a rap song where he celebrates the Holy Land Five, who have gone to jail for sending millions of dollars to Hamas. How do you think that would make a Jewish person feel? Probably not great.
Not great, Jillian.
I'd never heard of that song.
Israel slaughters. Hold on.
Okay, I mean,
it
exists.
Our children over and over and over again, and all we do is and Piers, this is really important. It's not that the American people are Islamophobic. It's that American media, mainstream media, and almost all the Israeli supporters are the most bigoted, racist people in the country. They despise Muslims. All they do is smear Muslims 24/7 while pretending that they're concerned about bigotry, but only when it affects their beloved Israel. So they're like, oh my God, I'm so concerned about anti-Semitism. Oh, you said something slightly true, actually very true about Israel, but it hurt my feelings. You're an anti-Semite, fire him, cancel him, etc. This is all thuggery. There's a bunch of pro-Israeli forces inside America. They've taken over our Congress. They've taken over mainstream media. And not only do they try to smear, cancel, fire, and arrest anyone who criticizes Israel, but on top of that, they now demand that you be racist and bigoted against Muslims. And it's so hilarious.
You want to be specific with your words?
Because Mamdani, hold on, let me finish. So let me finish. So now they go, okay, even though Mamdani has never said anything anti-Semitic, nothing against Jews, and even though the majority of Jews, according to polling, are supporting Mamdani, 67% of younger Jewish Americans in New York that's under 45 are supporting Mamdani, we're going to lie anyway, and we're going to say, you know what, he's a dirty Muslim, and you should hate him for supporting Muslims. And that's what almost all of the Israeli supporters are doing, almost all of mainstream media, and that sick, disgusting Andrew Cuomo, who's as bigoted as it gets.
All right,
now
Katie.
I'm done. Go ahead.
Why is it that every time someone wants to criticize Mamdani, it immediately comes back to the Jews and the anti-Israel movement instead of actually talking about his viewpoints, which is that
nobody
wants to
said
make
Jews. You just said it. You always do that. We say Israel, you say Jews. We say Israel is a government. Please don't make it about Jewish Americans. And you come back and go, you have to make it about Jewish Americans. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Is Israel a Jewish state? Yes or no?
Yeah. First of all, okay, so Saudi Arabia is a Muslim state, and you can criticize it all day long, all day long. There's no special protection
because
for
what you're doing is you're decoding language
that
to
calls themselves
American
a Jewish state or a
and
Muslim
to say that
state.
we should not be here and we should not be in existence, and that you would be happy for other people like Mamdani to use
it. I want Israel to be safe.
Nothing of the sort.
Nonsense. You're totally lying. It's very normal for a Miller to be completely and utterly lying. That's not true. We want Israel to be a safe haven for Jews, 1967 borders, but you guys say, no, more Palestinian land. Take Gaza, take the West Bank, take southern Lebanon. Your greed knows no bounds. And by the way, you and your husband are supposed to be working for America, not for Israel. I think you're betraying this country.
All right, Cenk, let Katie...
Piers,
right,
if I could just jump in here on a quick note.
Yeah, Omar, I'll come to you, but let...
But... Cenk, he's right about what he's saying right here, but when he starts grumbling and starts making I think he loses people, but that's besides the point. This whole conversation is just unbelievable to me, that Fascist Powder's wife there in the middle says you care so much about the Jewish people, right? She being Jewish, and anti-Semitism in this country. But you decide, you know what? Let me join the party that chants Jews will not replace us and says I love Hitler and gas chambers for their opponents. Like, am I the only one thinking about things like this? It's like being, you know what it's like being? It's like being a lesbian or a gay person and being a conservative. That sounds like an amazing idea, doesn't it? You hear me lost and confused there, Jillian Michaels? Like, these people are they're such grifters, they're such little schemers. This is the thing. These people like Jillian and Fascist Powder's wife, they think that, I don't know, this is a guess of mine, I don't know these people. I think they think, well, maybe if I join in on their bigotry on other people that they hate, that they won't turn the gun on me. Ay, pobrecito, what a poor calculation you have made. I hope those text messages from that group chat of those young baby children Republicans like J.D. Vance defended haunts Stephen Miller's wife in her dreams. I really do. I wish someone would have brought that up. Like, I think in these debates, you have to always make it as direct and personal as possible. Like, I don't care if it hurts your little feelings or not. That's unimportant. Like, you married Fascist Powder. I don't want to hear anything about you about anti-Semitism. What are you talking about?
Katie, finish her point, then I'll come to you. Katie.
No, Piers, quite frankly, I'm really sick and tired of this racist, bigoted rhetoric that comes from people like you against my husband, against my family, and my children. I am raising Jewish children in this country.
Who brought your
in which
children into this? What a weirdo.
Piers, I'm going to be done with this if you're going to allow racist and bigoted attacks against one of your commentators just for the sake that he will not
hang on.
speaking.
Casey, to be clear, he inserted
a line that says the Miller's lie. Is that not coded language for therefore we are Jewish? Come on, Piers, where are you?
What?
Where are you standing?
God, you're so
Katie,
pathetic.
if I can speak.
Everything's your shield.
If I can speak, listen.
Fire him, cancel him, America. Oh my God, Israel's feelings have been hurt. Why don't you work for this country?
Right, can we try and get
this country instead of Israel?
Can we try? All right, can we please?
Even the voices in Jillian Michaels' head are like, what the hell is she talking about? She's saying some odd stuff. We're going to get to that in a second.
All right, let's stop the ad hominem attacks. Let's try and get this back to a more civilized debate, which is actually about the likely incoming mayor of New York. Katie, I was giving you the chance to respond. If you want me to do it for you, I'm happy to do that. But normally in a panel discussion, if someone makes...
You know,
yeah, I agree, and you shouldn't be interrupted. So, Katie, let me just ask you, separate, let's not get into ad hominem stuff. It's honestly, I think the viewers are sick of it. Let me just ask you, Katie, what is your fundamental opposition to Mamdani? Because my view of Mamdani is he's very charismatic. He's a skillful politician. He has reined back on some of the more inflammatory things. He undeniably said the stuff he said about the NYPD would be for some people disqualifying, frankly, in a city like New York. But he's managed to come through that by reining back on some of that stuff. And he is, as Cenk Uygur rightly points out, he has a remarkable popularity with young Jewish New Yorkers. I mean, it is remarkable that for someone who people have branded anti-Semitic, a lot of Jewish New Yorkers simply don't agree. They want to vote for him. So he is what he is. I also think, as Jillian pointed out, that probably a more obvious stick to beat him with politically are his views, which are pretty socialist. And what is fascinating about this politically, looking at the totality and potentially a future general election, is if you have a progressive socialist like Mamdani who wins in New York, is that the way the Democratic Party is now going to go? And does that have any chance of winning against what would likely be another MAGA candidate in 2028? So these are big picture issues that will come out of a Mamdani victory. But from your perspective, Katie, what is your fundamental opposition to Mamdani becoming New York mayor?
I want to start off with, do you agree when your guest says that the Millers always lie? Because that's what your guest on your show just said, is that the Millers always lie. And so now I'll continue into saying Mamdani, just as you said here, is a socialist. He is someone who is going to drive New York to the bottom. I'm excited for him to win because he'll prove to every other single large city in our country that what you will see is failure, what you will see is high crime, what you will see is murders, what you will see is a prominent city in our country fall into complete disrepair, and you will see large amounts of capital and tax dollars exit the city immediately, because what people are voting for is their own downfall. When you play into identity politics, as he's done, when you stand behind a podium and your first comment is, oh my gosh, my aunt on the train, instead of talking about all those who lost their lives on 9/11, then you're doing something wrong, Piers. But I will sit here and say that for the reasons in which he is wrong and which he will drive New York into failure is again the same reason why people on your show, instead of arguing the merits, as you say, of his opinions, they're going to sit here and use attacks on my husband and myself instead of debating us on our values and our opinions. It is gross, it is racist, and it is bigoted. And I will not join your show again if you
your values suck. That's what I'm debating.
This is so ridiculous.
F you and your husband. Like, she steps back like she had a mic drop moment. Hey, idiot, you didn't. You did not. You married fascist powder. I don't want to hear anything about racism from your snowflake ass. These people are such little crybabies. Republicans. Jillian Michaels did the same thing. She ran out of her own show. She quit her own show on a similar topic about Israel. Like, you married fascist powder. Like, I don't want to hear any of this. It's spilling out of the eyeballs of your husband. He's filled with bigotry. I don't want to hear any of this crap. Do you hear her? She talks. She has the same, just like fascist powder, speaks like the same sociopathic rhythm in their speech. And like earlier, she was like, everything is anti-Semitic. Oh, I don't want kids in Gaza starving. Oh, that's anti-Semitic. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, you like rice and beans? Yep, that's anti-Semitic. Oh, you're a fan of the Beatles? Guess what? Anti-Semitic. Wait, you liked watching Full House as a kid? Hate to break it to you. Anti-Semitic. Group of Republicans texting each other. I love Hitler, talking about gas chambers. Oh, no, they're just kids, Papi. They're just kids. They're babies. Kids would be kids, you know? Diablo. Marching down the streets, chanting Jews will now replace us. Oh, no, that's just a bunch of rascals. Just trolling. Nazi salutes. Oh, no, that's just us spreading love. Isn't that what they said? He was spreading love to everyone. Hey, Mrs. Miller. The monster under the bed that you're so worried about is in your own home, pendeja.
Yeah.
Well, Katie, let me just make it clear.
If I can jump here, Piers.
No, Cenk, stay out of this. Katie, let me just respond to that. Katie, normally, when someone makes an ad hominem attack on another panelist, that panelist is on the receiving end, gives it back, right? And you've chosen instead, it seems to me, to want me to do that for you. I don't mind doing that, right? But to me, you could easily respond. You're perfectly skilled and capable enough to respond to what Cenk said about you, and you've done that. And you've argued, very passionately why Mamdani would be a New York mayor. I'm not taking sides here. I actually don't like any of the ad hominem attacks that come on the show. But it's interesting to note that there have been an increasing number of very ad hominem attacks on Mamdani, and a lot of it has had a whiff of genuine Islamophobia. And I don't think it means that any of us have to endorse that or anything to actually accept that that is what's been happening. And I see the same thing happen with Jewish candidates in American politics. I see a stench of anti-Semitism from certain quarters towards Jewish candidates. But we certainly see this with Mamdani, and it's ugly, and it's horrible, and it shouldn't be. Yeah, you are a guest on my show, and I appreciate you coming on the show, and I like you coming on the show.
And I'm saying the two other guests on your show are welcome to participate in these anti-Semitic attacks that is so permeating on CNN and MSNBC.
This is so ridiculous. I'm sorry. I have to jump in here. Somebody criticizing you personally is not an anti-Semitic attack. If somebody says that you are lying, that is not an attack on Jews. That is an attack on you. And just stop hiding behind identity. This is all the snowflake behavior that the right is supposedly criticizing the left for, that you're simply repeating here. Yes, Stephen Miller is a destructive force in American society. That is not an attack on Jews. That is no reference to his identity. This is an attack on him individually, and just deal with the merits of this case. And also, when it comes to Mamdani and all the stuff that he said,
let's go there.
Whatever you want to call him, you have to be clear about the fact.
I'll bring us the Israeli state, right? That's how we got here in the first place. Let's rewind.
Mamdani, and we should be clear about what Mamdani said in relation to policing in New York and Israel.
How we got here was Jillian very perfectly pointed out that we should not use identity politics to get here. And immediately we went to the state of Israel.
Of people No, I'm sorry. The state of Israel is not identity politics. That is a foreign government that is engaged in genocide and war crimes. And we're allowed to criticize that without you pulling identity politics into this. It is utterly unrelated. And Mamdani, by the way, he was not asked about 9/11 and just randomly decided to drag his aunt into this. He's talking about Islamophobia specifically in a context in which he is under relentless Islamophobic attacks, including by Andrew Cuomo. And in that context, he brought up the story of his aunt and the fear that she felt living in New York City.
Exactly.
That is a legitimate part of the conversation. And you pretending that this was comments about him having disregard for the real victims of 9/11 who were actually died on that day is such dishonest smearing against him. And I'll say all the references that Mamdani has made in reference to policing and the IDF is simply pointing out factually that there is collaboration there.
I go to New York a lot. I love New York. And there's no doubt to me that...
All right, I'm going to leave it there. Just a couple minutes more. He's just going to talk shit, this pisshead over here. People like Fascist Potter's wife, this does nothing but hurt the Jewish people. By, for one, probably the biggest one, standing by the people who do Nazi salutes and think your people, Jewish people, are inherently evil. And all these conspiracies about Jewish people that are extremely dangerous. Probably not smart to stand by their side and marry one of them. You idiot. And also because of this constant everything is anti-Semitic if you criticize the government of Israel. Is there real anti-Semitism? Yeah, you idiot, it's in your party. But people criticizing a genocide, kids starving, protesting in colleges, shut the F up. The keyword is the government and their actions. Could you imagine if we as Americans, we were all criticized based on the things that Trump has done? So, for instance, we would be criticized for Trump's clear involvement. I mean, clear as day in the Epstein files. Like if we had anything at all to do with those children being abused. Of course not. Nor should all of us be part of that ecosystem where we don't want those files released. Of course not. That's Trump and his people and Republicans and you guys, right? Like, this is just nonsense. We're talking about the government, all right? We're talking about Israel. They know this. But, and it's the same crap, right, with the colleges. Like, kids just don't want genocide. People just don't want people being slaughtered and using our government tax dollars to do so. That's it. There's nothing against the Jews. It's a stupid argument to do on the left, too, because the left are fundamentally against bigotry. Like, it's an absurd thing to think that we would hate Jewish people. Get the F out of here. I, for one, dislike all types of people equally. Okay? But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. I had to bring you this. This was such an insane panel. But let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Really helps spread the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.